Okay, so, okay, so, okay, so, okay, okay, okay. Why is my microphone not working? Hello, 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 hello. Okay, microphone's not working. Lovely stuff. Yada yada yada, yada yada yada, yada yada yada, yada yada. Hey, it does work. So, let's. Can I hide you? No. Lovely. So, to make Flappy Bird in Godot, it's very simple. You mainly use these two things, and obviously these two, well, three. So you've got Godot, you've got your inspector signals and groups, or you're going to use an inspector and signals. You can use groups if you want. We might go into that. So you start in a scene. You're going to make a 2D scene. You're going to name it. So you can either double click, or you can right click and change, rename, or you can press F2, which is, it should be where 2 is, just above it. Or on a 60% keyboard like me, it's FN and 2. You can just name it player, whatever you want. I'm just going to use a panel. And what you want is it to kind of be in the middle. That's about right, I think. Dream of Californication. About right, I'd say. I'm going to go theme, override, styles, right click, flat. I'm going to make my character a nice light blue. I'm also going to make it circle. You don't have to. But to do that, you're going to go to corner radius. I'm going to put more on 20. You can see now it does look kind of choppy around the edge. So you can just put this to 20. Makes it a circle. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it like that because from all the way back here, you won't see that. We're going to add a camera. As you can see, if you're currently looking at this camera, you're pretty small. So either you can make your character bigger, or what I like to do, just zoom the camera in. That's a bit better. I'm going to go a bit more though. Give it a quick test, just name this player. Save it. Most times you do want a scenes, assets, scripts, stuff like that. So you put your assets in there, scenes in there. I'm just going to add a generic script to this in a second, but not yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change type character body 2D. Now what you can do instead of that is when you start it up, you can press other node, but I prefer to do it that way. So now it's all saved. Add a script. Make sure you change this so it says scripts, not scenes. Otherwise, you're saving it to this one instead. There you go. Okay, I'm sneezing everywhere. That was horrendous. So are they still playing now? 2 minutes. So we've got this. Currently, this allows us to move left and right, which is not what we want. I am moving left and right. You just can't see because there's no background. So we'll quickly add a background so we can see it. So we're going to make a new 2D scene, add a panel, stick it there. Control Shift A player, and that's the size of the player compared to that. We're going to call this main and put it in the scenes folder. Now we'll run this scene. As you can see, we fell, and if I move right at the start on key, you can see I am moving. As you can see, there's no collision shape, so it doesn't like it. So we're going to add one. We're going to make the player a little bit bigger, actually. So never use the scale tool. Always, when you can, use it like that. That should be the middle. A bit bigger. There you go. We're going to zoom out the camera a little bit, not too much. Just to give us a bit more. And I'm also going to add position smoothing. And we're going to make it 7. So what that does is now when we fall, we go off the screen, which shouldn't be happening. Well, it's 10 pixels a second. It's not too bad. Max you can have it is 20. So you can see we're still going ahead. Be able to do, but we'll leave it on 15 for now. And here we have normal scene. We're going to go back here, set up this collision shape, circle, make it the same radius as that. Or if you want to make it a bit easier for the player, a little bit smaller, I'd say no more than 2 smaller really. Otherwise you'll start clipping into things and it'll be very obvious. But the easiest you can have it is about that. So that's the player done. My Godot. Okay, so this panel we can just make absolutely massive. Doesn't matter how big, and we kind of want it to go like that because obviously the character starts here and be flapping and moving to the right until they win. They don't have the background, but I like that. Theme overrides again and flat on the background. We're going to name this background as well, so you can name it BG, and we're going to make it a light blue. Now obviously this clashes with our player, so we're going to go back to our player, change the panel, and just make it something you're never going to use. So I'm going to use like a dark, very dark red. So now we show up very vibrantly on our scene. Now, because we pressed play earlier, and we pressed select current, every time we press play, it's running the player scene. So if you go to project settings, run, go right here, can change it to main. So that's what we've done there. And you can't tell, but we are falling, and we can move left and right. We don't want to be falling though, do we? No. If we press floating, it does the same thing. Because in our script we have gravity. So if we just get rid of the gravity, we don't even need moving left and right. We just need jump and move and slide. Speed doesn't matter. Jump velocity can stay there. And we can check how... Actually, we do need gravity. So, gravity is needed. The only thing that's not needed is movement. We can get rid of all that. But we need gravity, because we need to still be falling so we can jump up again. But we need to always be moving right. And if you check, if you press on your player, in this scene, you go to transform and position. Press on this, and you want to move it just that way. You see that's positive X. So every time you move to the right, it's going up next. So we need to move the positive X value. This purple box is the camera, so you can start that as far to the left as you want. And we need to now make it so that it moves constantly positive X. So we're going to use delta because that is time. So this is basically saying when you're not on the floor, velocity, so up and down, add get gravity, so it gets the gravity, which should be... There's a predefined gravity. And it times it by time. So we need to jump. This says and is on the floor. So if you're on the floor, you can jump. We don't want that because we're never on the floor. So it's basically useless. So what we want instead is to just have it if you press the jump button. And now you have the bird flapping. We're just not moving left and right because we haven't added that yet. So we're going to do that now. So we're just going to do player. So you can just do self, which looks like that. Dot position. And we want the X position. And we're going to add 1 every second. Like that. So the position goes up by 1 every second. So that looks like this. So not too fast. but it would be like every single second. Now we are also going to change that, but it shouldn't exactly be like that. We're going to find out here. So what I'm going to do to test this, a new panel, make it about yay big. And we'll see how fast we pass that line. As you can see, it is incredibly so. You can barely even see it moving. But it is moving, so I'm going to let this run for a bit. I'll speed up. We'll speed up in script, it's quicker. So we're going to do 10. Now, you can see we are moving to the right, just not very fast. So, instead of having a normal number, we're going to make a constant. Just use this speed here. We're just going to rename it move speed. Put that here as well. There we go. It's currently on 300, which is going to be way too fast. We're just going to... Actually, that's not too bad. Depends how hard you want your game. I'd recommend for a Flappy Bird, 150 to 200. That's a lot more than 150. So you have enough time to get through the pipe, go to the next one, get through that pipe. Very simple. Now, obviously we have the player. We have a collision shape. And what we can do is add the player to a group. Now, I'm no genius. I'm not going to sit here and say I know everything about Godot. I'm not sure if you add... I'd imagine you add this to a group, not the collision shape. However, I do both every time, because it doesn't hurt to have both. But I'd imagine it's this one. So we're going to make a new group. I'm just going to call it player. Now we have a group called player. And what we are going to do is we're going to enable it on the collision shape as well, just to be sure. Now this is going to be our pipe. Now what we can do, instead of having just a single pipe like that, it's just annoying. We're going to go here, 2D scene, add a panel, or your sprite, or whatever you want. Make it about that big. Go to inspector, theme override styles, style box flat, and now in original Flappy Bird, the pipes are green. I don't know if they're that green, that's probably bang on. And I'm going to also add some detail to it. You don't have to do this, just to make it look more pipey. So I'm going to just make a little bit extra there. Theme override styles panel, right click, make unique. So when I change this one, it doesn't change this one. You can keep it the same, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to border, color, grab this color and make it darker. And then make the width, maybe not 5, maybe 2. There we go. That adds that nice green outline. You can always do 1 as well, but it might not show up as well. It doesn't look too bad. Pipe. What I'm going to do, grab this one, put it in there, grab that. Control D to duplicate. Grab here, hold left control, and just spin. What that does, it's duplicated, made a second one. And you can line it up here. That's lined up. Maybe you can see that. We need to just add enough room for a player to get through. Which looks maybe like that. You can go back to here, your main scene, and you can either press on this, instantiate child screen, or you can press these 3. I'm pointing at the screens if you can see. Control, Shift, and A. And you can add your pipe. And there it is. That might not be enough room for the player because these are quite big. So what we can do here is just grab the node and scale up. Because I don't want to have to go through and change all of them. There you go, there's your pipe, there's your player, straight through. You might notice something though. You can just fall. And if you're quick enough, you can go right over. Not only that, even if you touch the pipe, nothing happens. To change the fact that you're going behind it, you can change the layer of the order. So you can move it up, not behind the background, but behind the player. Or you can go to visibility, go to ordering, and change the Z index. So you can keep this down here, and then go to your player, go to visibility, ordering, and if you put the Z index as anything above anything else, no matter what, is now on top. So as you can see, we now pass over it. But I'm just going to make it simple and just drag it behind. So it does the exact same outcome. But it just saves, say you have like 100 different things here, you can just go through and Z-index everything. And if you do that, no matter what you press on, you can change the Z-index of everything. So instead of having to go all the way back through again. But I'm just going to keep it like this. So as you can see now, when you can go through the pipe. There's no score, there's no nothing. You can still touch the pipe, you don't lose. This collision shape currently doesn't do anything because there's nothing to read it. So we have to go back in here, go on your panel, make a area 2D. Now obviously this does nothing on its own because you see this error. The node has no shape. So add a collision shape 2D. I like to use rectangles, but if you want to be a little bit nicer to the player, you can use a capsule and you can just stick it in the middle of this pipe. Bring it down and get it right. So now that allows them to kind of clip these edges a little bit. But that's only if you're feeling nice. I don't personally be nice. So I just use a rectangle. Grab this edge. Bring it down. Make it meet about there. And now what you can do here is also extend this rectangle to meet this. And you're probably thinking, but that's not, now there's this area. If you were in this area, you weren't going to get through this area anyway. So you don't need to worry about that. Just death. Now just lined up nicely-ish. With this edge preferably. Not to be exact, you can always be nice and give your players a little bit of leeway, which I will do here. I'm going to give you about a pixel leeway each way. So we'll go about there. Not to be the same as mine. Be whatever size you want. It is really up to you on that. What have I just done? Just delete that. Right. And what we can do is, because this is like a death zone of sorts, you can just copy this and bring it down. And what I'm using there is left shift and my arrow keys to bring it right down. And you can always just use an arrow key. So you keep this all within one area. I'm going to keep it called death area, so that when you die, when you touch this, it's known as the death area. Let's add a script. Remember, don't keep it in scenes, keep it in scripts, keep everything together. So if you open this up, you can see everything is in this respectful place. You always know where to go. You could hand this to any developer and they'd know what's what. Right, ready doesn't need to do anything when it's ready, but every frame we can have it do something. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to make it press on your area, body shape entered. What that does is, this is the area's body shape. This collision shape is the body's area. So what we can do is, currently, it might notice there's something inside of it, but it shouldn't. But if we do if body dot has name, has group, in group, is in group, and we named it player, print player touched. What we can do is now, if we press play, if you watch down here, nothing happens. And that's because, why is that because? In the group player, it's in the group player. Why does this happen? Let's brainstorm. Dream of Californication. This is odd. Have I not saved this scene? Dream of Californication. Why does this happen? I couldn't tell you. If body is in group player, the body is in group player. Okay, well, we'll just make it say touched, because it does the same thing, but I will look into that. So currently it's not being touched. It's been touched by the player. That's what that means. So the only thing is, say there is something else. So say you have, say instead of using the one collision shape, you use the second. It'll say it twice if you touch this, which isn't a problem because we're not going to have it say print player touched. We're going to have it say get tree, reload, current scene. So now when you touch it, you fail, and it restarts every single time, no matter where you touch it. We still have the issue of being able to fall, and also we have no more pipes. So we can fix these two things with another death scene, another death area. We're going to call it OOB, out of bounds, add a collision shape, make it a rectangle, and then just, it doesn't matter how thick it is, so you can make it absolutely massive, make it the thinnest thing on the world. I'll just keep it quite simple. I'm just going to go like that. I'm just going to extend it all the way across our scene. All the way. I like to get it exact. Become special. And then Control D to duplicate. You can use this tool up here, or you can press W. So you've got this one where you press Q. You grab things, W to move, R to scale, and E to rotate. So E, R, W, and then you've obviously got Q, which lets you grab different things in the scene. For this, just hold left shift and use your arrow key down. Doesn't have to be perfect, because if you're anywhere here, really, for this pipe, if you're anywhere here, you're not making it. But we still want to just make it seem like they're going to fall and die. Now, obviously, if the player was to fall and come down to here, they would see for a split frame, split few frames, that it just ends, which isn't very professional. So what we'll do is we're going to move the pipe over, give them a little bit more time to think. And we're going to grab this background. I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Now, at no point should you be able to see that that ends. Just let it roll. You shouldn't be able to see that for the death scene. You get to there, you can't see it. You get to there, you can't see it. You get to here, anywhere you can't see it. So we need to make these the same as the other. What you can do, go to this script, copy that line right there. Go back to your main, add a new script, and make sure it changes to scripts. You can just change it to say scripts. It extends a node 2D. Press on this guy, signals, body shape entered. Get reload current scene. Now here's where an issue might arise. I mean, an issue might happen. This collision shape is inside this collision shape, which means it's going to keep restarting. And why is that? Let's have a look at the errors. What? Moving a collision object node. Whatever. We don't care. We do not care. We're making simple Flappy Bird. So, the reason this happens is because it sees that there is another collision shape inside the collision shape. And it's not checking what the collision shape is. So, here, if we add if body is in group, if body, why aren't you working, is in group player, then do that. There is. Oh, there we go. If body is in group player, get tree reload current scene. So now it shouldn't happen. It doesn't, but if we touch it, it still doesn't happen. And why is this? Because right here, we don't have the player isn't a thing. God, I'm a genius. So, touch that, we die. Touch that, we die. Quite simple, right? You have to go through the pipe. You go through the pipe. You're fine. Now what I'm going to do is you can't really tell when you're falling and when you're going up because the background is just all one colour. So instead of having a panel, we're going to go on the Googles. We're going to go to itch style. We're going to go to, if you hover over community, browse assets. I'll link this as well. It'll be below the video. Go to pixel art, and I'm just going to search for sky with clouds, natural backgrounds, oceans and clouds. These are all fun things. I like this one quite a bit. So we're going to go in here, download, cloud tile set, drag it straight into our assets. As you can see, nothing crazy, some clouds, smiling clouds. Now tile sets can be a pain. Use tile map, which I don't have too much. I've not really used, which is probably pretty bad. New tile set. Drag that in? No. That in here? Yes. Yes. Okay. So we've got. Oh, paint. I don't know how to do this. Do we need like a tile map layer? I don't know how these work. I really don't know. Layers. Layer 0. Guessing we just like paint it on. Okay. No, just give them to the sprites too. Okay. So there you go. We have a cloud. I'm just scale him up a little bit. There you go. There's your cloud. Don't think we need this. No, we don't. Okay. So we have a cloud. We're just going to name it cloud. There's such easier ways to do this. But it just has to be behind the. It just be on between the pipes in the background. It needs to go behind it really. We're going to take him. Control D. 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 Now what you can do is you can select them all. Control D again. Control D again. Control D again. And now I'm going to go back to the bottom, back to the top, Control D. Move these over. There's such easy ways to do this. This is the really lazy way. Might like the game out, but it's not for mass production. If it is, then you wouldn't do it this way. You'd use instantiate. Don't have to be perfect at all. There's a few I would like to move around now, though. 70. Oh. Now when you press play, cloud. Camera seems a bit too zoomed in. I'm going to change that. Go back to our camera. 0.25. Adds a bit more life to the game. Obviously, it's nothing special. You can still pass over it. Doesn't do anything. Now, what we did with the clouds, we're going to do with pipes. To make it easier, you can go 2D. Name it clouds. Grab the bottom one. Hold left shift. Press the top one. Drag them all. You can still scroll while doing this. Come all in clouds. Close it down. Then with pipe, I'm going to add in the no 2D. Pipes. The pipe inside. Drag it. Now, we need the pipes to kind of go bang. Then we need to go up. Go down. You're going to it straight on. Again. And again. Up. Down. In the middle. If you want to stop it kind of doing this where you have a massive gap, go back to your pipe scene. Grab your panel. The larger one, obviously. And just extend. Same thing with the top one. Now what you'll notice is this has also moved. We're going to move that back down. And that is because it is a child of the other panel, so they move with. But we can easily fix that like that. Now, if you look back on our main scene, you go off the screen. That's okay. Don't mind. And then when you've got a layout that you kind of like, Control D on them all. Move them up and down a little bit. Control D, D, Control D, Control D, D. It's really just copy and paste. This is why this game, I think, is so easy. Control D. And then obviously this last one doesn't fit on. Get rid of him. Or we won't. There's a couple that won't go on. Get rid of all them. Now this is the really lazy way. This is the way I'd do it. I have a pipe. And 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 believe it or not, more pipes. Now you can see we go behind these clouds, and that's because when we moved clouds, put the player on top. So we want the player on top of everything. The player always has to be on top of absolutely everything. So now, if you were to grab the player and move him, he goes on top of absolutely everything, which is exactly what we want. Now, we are missing something. There's not really an aim to this game. Yeah, you have to go through the pipes, but you don't know anything. There's no score anywhere. Now you can do this whichever way you want. There's different ways. I like to do it on the player scene. You can add a control node, which kind of just holds everything. I'm going to put it in the top left of my camera. It doesn't have to be perfect, obviously. We can't get it exactly perfect here, unless we like manipulate the scale and whatever else. I don't want to, so I'm just going to leave it more or less top left. And then in the control, we're going to rename that to UI for user interface. And you can either add, this is where I'm saying it's all you, add a label or a rich text label. I'll tell you the difference. So a rich text label it allows BB code, which looks like this. You can't do that with a normal label. So if you want it to be like tornado score and have the score look like that, you could. And if you don't like how it goes off the screen, obviously, you can go to center. So your score will do that the entire time. I don't like that one. Let's use wave. It looks a little bit more, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit nicer. So I'm going to use one of these. But if you really wanted to, you could also make it, I'm going to make it sit on the left because I hate that. This one. No, this one. So you can also have it so that it's text, and you could just make it, set it inside of player, so it always shows the player what your score is. I again don't like that idea, so you could have it like this. Score's always there, or the score's always there. Now as you can see, it falls with us because it's inside the player. So what we can do, go back to main, down there, but again it doesn't follow, and you're probably thinking, why is that? Because you need to have it inside of your camera. The reason it does this still is because of cameras follow. So we can turn that off, and now it constantly sits there. And this is the old Flappy Bird feel, but it still doesn't go up, which you're thinking, we've not coded anything for that. We're going to do that now. So I'm going to get rid of this label inside of me, because I don't like it. And if you don't want it to move, just use a normal label, or just, you can use one of these and just not use wave. You don't need to, but I like it. You can also, for ease of sight, constants, outline size, I'm going to put it on 5. There's now a black outline. You can put it on 10, but it's a little bit harsh in the eyes. I'd say 7's kind of the max. I like a good 5. It just adds like a nice little outline. You can also move it down if you want. You can put it anywhere you want, really. Top left looks okay. Bottom left looks meh. Top right isn't very good because you want to be looking over here for only where you're going. You can obviously change your panel as well to be the icon. You can have it be a bird, whatever you want. You could have it as this guy. Stick him there. And plays the Godot guy. But again, you'd have to make him the right size and do the rest of it. And I don't want to use him, so I had to use a panel. Anyway, we need to make this work. We're going to make a variable, because a constant, say I made a constant called score, and I set it to 0, constant, so it's never going to change. Even if you ask it to, it won't. It'll say no, error. Variables, however, are variable, so you can change them. We have a variable called score, and what we want to do, actually, we're going to use a global script. So you're going to come down to scripts, create new script, click global, capital G for me, var score equals 0. So now we have a variable called score. How interesting is that? Why is it not throwing an error? It doesn't extend anything. Okay, so we have a variable called score. Project settings, globals. Press on this one. The scripts, global, and name it node name global. So all that does is in any scripts now you can name this score. So we're going to go to pipe, and what we want is we don't need to say var score. We don't need to do var score because we have score. We just need to add what I'm going to call win zone. So go to your pipe, close these down, don't need them. New area. I'm going to call it win area, or you can call it pass area. I'm going to go win area. It sounds better. Add a collision shape 2D. Make it whatever shape you want. I would recommend a rectangle. Move it. Yeah, it can be this big. It can be big. Just don't make it clip into them. I'd put it about that big because there's no way you can miss that and go through. You can make it as thin as you want. I'm going to make it quite thin. The thinner it is, the better, really. And what we're going to do is going to go signals, win area, body shape entered. That makes a new function for us. I'm going to call global dot score. See, it recognizes it. Plus equals 1. And we're going to make it print the global score, so we can see it for now. So here comes the pipe. Looking down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're having an issue where it's adding more than 1, make sure this is not touching anything, and make sure it's not too thick. It should be fine, because if it was a process, and it was like calling every frame, and you were playing at 60 frames a second, 60 times it would add 1. But because it's just entered, you're fine. You can also, in this case, if you really wanted to, instead of using entered, you could use exited. So it's once you fully get through the pipe, fully get through the area you've got. So this currently adds 1 when you're here, but if you used exited, it would add 1 when you're here. Either works. But make sure it's body shape entered, not body entered and body exited. I don't know why, it's just buggy. But there you go, you've now added 1. Later, go to the script. We're going to add a new function. And we're just going to go pro. You can double click or press tab. Add the process. Name this. You can change the name of this to score label. Just make sure this also says score label. Whatever the name of this is. Dot text equals. And now because I'm using BB code, we want it to say wave score. But if you're not using it, get rid of that. And I'm going to add string global dot score. And the reason we have to use this is because currently it's a number. So it's thinking, how do I add text and a number? So imagine you had 1 plus 1, right? It's seeing text here plus 1. How can it add a number? Look, invalid operands to operator plus string and int. But if you were to go string 1, it doesn't care because it reads it as text. So this is saying this label now has to always say every frame it updates to say the score is and the number. And if we press play now, this score, once you go through a pipe, always reads global score, which is simple and easy. And that is how you make Flappy Bird. Now, when you lose a normal Flappy Bird, you don't just restart like that. There's always some type of screen. Did I break my pipe? No. So why was that one? Did I double that one up? I've messed up. I thought there was 2 pipes on top of each other there. Maybe I'm tripping. That's normal. Actually, we need to move that bottom panel down. Oh, like there was 2 pipes on top of each other there. I'm going mad. Where was it? It was here. Yeah. Okay, we just need to move that. Oh, look, no, there is. There's 2 pipes on top of each other. So that's going to give me 2 score. Clearly not intentional. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 2 here. Don't make the same mistake. Don't do it, Callum. Get rid of this one. That's the wrong one. Get rid of this one. I've done that anywhere else as well. Don't do the same as me. You have done it again. Done it every 10 pipes. Dream of California. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna have to. Okay. I think I fixed them all now. Now, what you might notice on some of them, you might be able to go over the top, which we can again fix. But I'll show you an example. Might be able to get through that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pipe. So once I get to 5 score, I'm gonna try show how you can get to the top. Again, it's a guessing game here. Yeah. So either way, go back on your pipe, grab your collision shape, and extend it. Now you'll notice the bottom one moves as well. Just moving back down. That's because they use the same shape. While we're here, we'll also fix this issue with having the panel go on the top. Like that. But yeah, so it uses the same rectangle. So if you want make unique, change it all you want. But because it's not unique, they both change. Now, if we go back to our main scene, there's no way for them to get through. That's all anywhere. But you can't run to the top. You can't drop to the bottom. You have to go through the middle. Now in normal Flappy Bird, there's a start scene and there's an end screen. So what we want to do, make some type of starting scene. Now in normal Flappy Bird, it wouldn't start playing instantly. It would wait for you to press a button. And we can do that. We make a variable in the player script, start, set it to false, and then down here, if start equals, well, you can either do if start, or if I'm going to be more precise, if start is true. But that is the same as that, so that's if start. So if start is true, then move. So currently, it's going to fall. We're also going to add the same line to the gravity. If start, if not is on floor. So now we won't move. And if you press plus, if you press the space bar, we will just go straight up because it's just adding this forever and ever. So what we want to do is, if you press this, start equals. Now the first time you press jump, gravity starts, and so does the rest. And what you can do as well is in your player script, on your UI, add a new label. Bring it to about the middle of the screen, just below the player. And then press space to start. Line up about the middle, doesn't have to be perfect. And then start label. Now as you can see, press space to start. Can't see very well. So theme overrides, font size, make it about 20. And we're also going to add a constant outline size of 5. Press space to start, but it never goes away. Will do. On here, so the first time you press start, so when you press spacebar, reference him, and make him invisible. So drag him in, say visible, false. So the first time you press spacebar, he disappears. Then when you lose, he'll come right back because you're reloading the current scene. Now what we also can do is we can add a high score. And to do that, you need to save the player data. We don't really want to do, but what we can do is make it so that when you touch a death area, you don't reload to the current scene. You call a function which would send the player back to the starting position. If you want to do that, you can. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I can show you how to do that, but you have to ask me. Because I'm going to do that in this little tutorial. I don't like how there's so much room at the top of this score. I'll move that. There's a lot of room up there actually, so I'm just going to move that like that. Fits there quite nicely. To start, and away you go. And then when you die, you kind of want to see for at least a couple of seconds what happens. So what we're going to do is, when death area happens, when you hit a death area, we're going to use global again. We're going to make a variable called dead, set it to false, and then when you touch one of these, we're going to do dead was true. Now remember this is a global, so we need to do global dead equals true. Do the same in your main, obviously. We need to call it twice. So we're just going to do it here. So now when you die, it tells it global dead is true. You can get rid of this for now, or you can comment it out with a hashtag. So now it's just, nothing happens when you touch a pipe. It basically just calls, it just says global dead equals true. And we can prove that with a print. We can get rid of this line as well, we don't need that anymore. So now it's printing, every time you touch a pipe, it'll it'll print what global true, because we should be dead. And if you touch the bottom, it's also true. Okay. So let's go ahead and get rid of the print. So now we know when you touch something, it says you're dead. Go to our player, back to our player script. So if start, then you have gravity. If start, you can move. And then we're going to do if not dead. So that's what the exclamation mark here does. And we need to do if not global dead. So if you are not dead, and we're going to move this down to here as well. And then if you highlight all this and press tab, it will do that. And then here, we're just going to do that. So if you're not dead and you press that, this happens. So if we're not dead, we can start. But as soon as we touch a pipe now, we stop. And what we also need to do, come back up here and just say if global dead. And then we need to put velocity y. I'm going to set that to 0. We stop moving. That's if you are dead. We don't need the not there. So when you have died, it stops moving. You just die. And we're going to add a death scene. What we're going to do, we only need a new scene. We're just going to add a new panel. Make it a decent size to cover the screen. So I'm going to go with something like this. This is what Bird did. This is where they'd had their Facebook share on Facebook thing. Move it to about the center. It doesn't have to be exact. Inspector, theme override styles, new box. I do like the rounded edges on this one. So corner radius 5555. Not too noticeable, but it's definitely rounded. Make it a color which isn't on the scene. So I'm going to go with like a dark grey. You can't really see it here, so we'll make it a bit lighter. We're going to add a border as well. Border, make it black. Border width 5555. Now when you press play, this is what it'll look like. I'm going to add a bit more corner to it because it doesn't look as good. That's the wrong thing. The way I'm doing that is I'm pressing 20, tab, 20, tab, 20, tab, 20. Just now you got nice and round. Might actually half it. It looks a bit too round to me. Much better. I don't like the thickness of it, so we're going to change that as well. Yeah. Obviously, it's in the way, but that's fine for now. We're going to go in this panel. We're going to call it Death Panel. Obviously, it's on top of everything, which is perfect. Add a label. Score. We're going to say null for now, because there is no score. Theme overrides, font size, maybe about 40. Let's stick it somewhere in the middle. Doesn't have to be exact, obviously. What you can do here as well is just put it directly in the middle and move it up. Or you can put it directly at the top in the middle and move it down a little bit. Or you can keep it at the top. Doesn't matter. It's any way you want it. You could put it over here if you really wanted. It just wouldn't look as good. Add a new button. And just say restart. That down here somewhere. And then duplicate that button. Move it to the right. I'm going to call this one wet. Now rename them. Restart. Button. I didn't say button. And then quit button. Go on both buttons. So press on the top one, hold left control or left shift, press the other one, go to here and just type focus. When focus, turn mode to none. And obviously that doesn't matter here, but it's just a good habit to keep on all buttons that you make ever. Restart, press on it, signals, double click pressed, connect. On restart button pressed, get scene, no, get tree, restart, reload current scene. So basically, when restart button's pressed, done. And with quit, double click, pressed, take the get tree, dot quit. So get tree, what it does, returns the scene tree that contains the node. So gets this tree, and then tells it what to do. So it's basically saying get this tree and get rid. And this one's saying get this tree and start again. So here we are. Quit, closes the game, reload. You can't see, but it is reloaded. You can see because of this text moving. Reloads. Now we don't want this scene. We don't want this panel to show up until we die. So here, if global equals dead, plug this in. Dot visible equals true, and then make it invisible. So just press that I button. So now we're alive. We're living our best life. Living our best life. Oh, we've died. Restart. Now, why is it doing that? Look. We never set global dead normal again. Global.dead equals false. That should be right. Yeah. Okay. But what we haven't done yet is when we get some score, still says null. So what we want to do is when it appears right here, we're going to set this label dot text equals score plus string global score. We don't need to call that every frame because you don't see it every frame. There's no point in updating it. Score is 0. Then if we do get some score, we'll get 2, then we'll drop. Score is 2. Now you notice it's not in the center. We can change that as well. We go back to our desk panel. This inspector. Get rid of our focus. Alignment, center, and center again. Now we hide it again. Okay. Die, score is 0, it's in the middle. Start. Get a score, fall, die, quit. You can obviously add more to this, so you could have a share button, so you could take a screenshot or whatever, or you could have whatever you want there. But that is Flappy Bird. Pretty difficult. Quite easy really. Quite complex the way I've done it. But there's way more complex ways to do it. So you could have instantiated pipes. You could have instantiated clouds. You could have the clouds move with animations. You can have the player reset instead of restart. But this is how I would do Flappy Bird. Obviously, you get to the end. There's no win yet. So we'll quickly sort that. So how many pipes is there? 105. So we're going to just go in player, duplicate our desk panel, and then it's going to be called win panel. You can keep these the same. They're still connected. So they're still connected to restart and quit. And just change this label. A win panel. Just say you win. And now, if the player was to reach the score, which we need to set up, so to make this one appear, we need to get the global score. So we're just going to say, we'll go in here, if score. Ooh, where should we do this? We'll put it in pipe. No, we won't. We'll put it in player. Win. So this happens if you win. We're gonna make win panel dot visible equals true, and it's above the death panel. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the lazy way. We're just gonna say that you die. Global.dead equals true. So So that stops you moving, stops you falling. Obviously, that will make this appear. However, this is above it. So it doesn't really matter. If you want to make sure it's above, z-index, put on 1. But no matter what, you win. That happens. But the win still never comes up. So we're going to go into process. I'm just going to say if global.score is more than or equal to 105, then win. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat my score on 104, hit the win panel, and now when we get to score 105, we should stop moving in the win panel. There you go, you win. This would happen at the end. There you go. Now obviously, this isn't even possible in mine, because I deleted some pipes. I'm going to be sure of it. Come in here, select them all, rename the first one, pipe. The rest should automatically rename. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of pipes, so it's going to take a second. Rename them all in order, 1 all the way through. Now we know there's 96. So if we go back in our script, we're just going to say if the score reaches 96. So if it's more than or equal to 96, you win. So now if you were to get to 96, you would win. I will play the game all the way through and win, because I'm the best Flappy Bird ever. So I'm going to time-lapse this. Show you what it looks like when you win. And there you go. That's how it looks when you won. So, obviously, some small things I noticed. When you get to the end of the game, you can see the edge. And also, in normal Flappy Bird, you have your own input. So we're going to name it jump. Go on here, press the spacebar. Then we're also going to use left click, left mouse button. And we're also going to add controllers. So we're going to do joypad buttons, bottom action, Sony Cross, Xbox A, Nintendo B. So now if you had a controller, which I luckily do in front of me, I can show you. But if I am to use it, on here, not working, because it doesn't want to. But you can now use click. Oh, because we haven't. If you go in your player script where it says UI accept, just change it to jump. There we go. Now I'm using a controller. You can also use left click. And you can do the same on controller. We just haven't added. We haven't added UI for that. But we don't need to. It's just a little added feature. And there's one more thing we could add is sound player, audio stream player 2D. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave it right on top of the player, and we're going to stream audio through it. So I'm going to go to my instance. Probably has an audio I want. Wing flap. They have the Flappy Bird wing sound, which is fantastic. Drop that right in there. Not got in assets, it's got in scripts. Put it in assets, it is an asset. So it needs to move. And then drop it in here. And then what it sounds. Go back to your script. And then every time jump is pressed, play. So now if you want to add some background music, add another one. Free sounds. I like to use free sound or Pixabay. Either way, either one works. And just add like a background music. Let me type in. We'll use free sound for this, is better. I'll do. We're not logged in, so we're gonna go somewhere else. I have caps lock on? No. Oh, it's gonna go for retro music. Retro music. Drop that in assets. Grab it, put it in here. Playing. Autoplay. And then I'm pretty sure there is also a looping for now. You got some music as well, which I understand you can't hear. But I will change that now. We'll change this. We'll just put it on desktop audio. Press on play. There you go. There's your game. That's what a death sound if you really feel like it. We'll go on, we're going to add a generic free sounds, my instance one. And we'll just make it the ooh. You can make it whatever you want. I'm going to go with this one. Try getting Godot. Add another audio stream. You can name these if you want. That's an audio listener. We don't want one of them. We're going to put a death. Drag that into if global dead. Death.play. And what we're also going to do is call global dead. We're going to actually make it. We're going to do it the cheap way again. Bar death audio false. If death audio. Death.play. Audio false. Currently, I'll play nothing. And then we're also going to make it stop playing the music if you die. Oh, stop. And we're also going to add the death sound to the death listener. There we go. Why doesn't it play? Yeah, because we never called death audio. Why it doesn't play? No, it does. But when you die, play death audio, basically. And that is happening because that's happening because of an error with the global dead. So what we want to do is on death, we want to move the player slightly to the left. So dot position dot x minus equals. We'll go back 4 pixels. And it's still doing it. Because. I don't know. Never finding this. Don't have to add that line, but we do for some reason. Still moving to the left. Shouldn't have to put that either. But we will, just to test. Keeps playing it. So what we're going to do we're going to move all this. If global dead, that. That's true. Make a new function for when you die. Put death play in there. Die. And then in there we're also going to call, so this is true. And it's still doing it. What that's doing is calling that every second. And that's because this is still true. Now it'll stop. And why are we still moving after that? Because we're going to do that as well. There you go. Another really stupid, janky way around it, but it works. There you go. And that only plays when you die, not when you win. And that is how you make Flappy Bird. And that was an hour of my life. And I do apologise for it being so stupid long. But yeah, there you go, that's how you make Flappy Bird. Really simple, really easy. All you really need is a pipe, a player, and a main scene. Half the stuff I added was cosmetic, and there's a lot simpler ways to do it. There's a lot harder ways to do it too, but this is the most beginner friendly way to do it. I wouldn't keep any of these habits. I wouldn't copy and paste pipes a million times. I wouldn't copy and paste collision shapes a million times. But that is the way we've gone about it. You don't need to add the clouds either. They're just all cosmetic. Just to make it so it feels like you can see what you're doing. Because without them, you don't really know what's going on. I mean, you do with the pipes, but before the pipes are added, you're just kind of floating on this blue background. You can always make it a gradient as well, so you can tell where you are. So instead of it being one of these, you'd use a... Oh, you would use one of these, wouldn't you? No. Use a style box. Line? No. Texture. And you'd make a new gradient texture. And you'd have it be a gradient of a deep blue to a light blue. And you can't really tell, but it goes that way. And you can change that by doing like this. Making it that way, so now you can always kind of see where it is you're about up to. You wouldn't want this blue to be so dark. You'd want it to be more of like a that. Then you can move this a bit further down. Now you can kind of see where you are no matter what. A bit further. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to see. But I just keep the clouds personally and the blue background. But there you go. There is Flappy Bird. I'm going to have to upload this now. So happy Godotting.